Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Ian Carlos Crawford.
And I'm Ashley K. Small. Today we have two very special guests. One of them is one of the writers for the upcoming Pretty Little Liars reboot.
Neil McNeil. Hello.
Hi, Neil. And we also have voiceover actor
Justin Fraction. What's up?
Hello. One, I wanted to thank you, Ashley, for taking over the reins last week. It was the first episode of Slayerfest 98 in 5 years that I've been doing this without me. We only had a little panic, right?
Right. We should have known. Like there was a really, really small bit of a hedge. So next time we steal the show, we'll know better.
We had Stephanie Williams filling in for me, and I was in Texas for a horror convention, meeting my horror podcast co-host Zachary, and meeting Nev Campbell, which was wonderful, and she's great. So we're here for the Moon Knight finale. Ashley, what'd you think of the finale in general?
It is nothing like overall like bad. Like, oh my God. Nothing like that. I did say on the first show that we did, my main worry was 6 episodes was not going to be enough.
Yeah.
And that was this, now we had the official confirmation for me. I do think even one more episode would have made all the difference, but I think they probably should have needed like at least 8. That being said, while I enjoyed the final episode, and it was probably one of my favorite out of the entire series, first season, hopefully, knock on wood, we want more seasons. But it was just rushed, and that was because they were in the last episode and had to rush. So that's why, that was my main thing from the very first show we did. So like I did enjoy it, but it felt very rushed.
Ashley, it's funny. I was thinking of you too when I was watching it, and I was really thinking, wow, Ashley was right. We really didn't have enough time. Neil, what'd you think of it? This final episode?
I liked this story. I liked everything that they did, and I liked how they brought it to life. And the finale just I watched it and went, okay, that's the finale. Like it didn't. It felt like this entire season felt like kind of one big setup for an even bigger story that they want to give us and hopefully will give us. But it felt like they had to do so much of this season, like explaining. So then they had to rush the entire final conflict, which should have been the third act spread over 2 episodes like WandaVision was. Like that was the perfect way to kind of split those two up, would have been like, okay, like here's all the setup for the resolution and here's the big resolution versus, okay, now here's just everything all at once.
Yeah. Justin, what'd you think?
I liked it better than WandaVision, which, if you remember, I hated. But it was not my favorite. We'll get into it later. I'm sure you'll get to that point where we talk about what I hated about it. But yeah, it was okay. Better than I thought. So.
Yeah. I didn't hate it. I just, like, at the end, I was like, that's it. We're done. Like, I felt very... I think I might have said this, Ashley, earlier, how, like, Daredevil, which is a show that I do really love. It always bothered me that first season, it was basically like the whole season building up to like, ooh, in the finale, now he's Daredevil. And I really hate that. I hate when it's like, ooh, in the finale, now we're at the point where the comic book's already, like, we already know this is the character, so don't give me a whole season of buildup when we know what the character is supposed to be. Same way with like Falcon and Winter Soldier, how it was like, we're just waiting for Sam to become Captain America or get the shield, and like, don't leave it till like the final act. Because I think it's more fun watching them become that character and be that character than it is like, I don't know, like, or I'm a hard sell in an origin story. And this at first felt like it wasn't an origin story, but then it kind of, I don't know, because it wasn't quite like he was already Moon Knight, but I don't know. But yeah, okay. So we'll get into the episode, because I mean, I didn't hate it. It just was a little let down. I liked the opening. I liked them playing that song, which I had to look up. It's called "The End" by Earl Grant. I love putting a classic song into something like that. Like, that's very up my alley. And it's like Mark floating in the pool in the tomb. Yeah, I don't know. There was clearly so much plot we had to do, right? Like in this episode, we knew unless it was going to end on a cliffhanger, there was a lot of like plot to get through. Um, Layla's hiding behind the pillar. Harrow and his folks are like pulling Mark out of the pool to get which I didn't even remember what the fuck they were. I was like, is that the Khonshu totem? But it was the Amit totem, right?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. I didn't remember either.
From down the throat when he stuck his hand all the way down the skeleton's throat, which was kind of hot.
Right. Neil.
What?
Yeah, and then like Harrow lays the scarab on Mark, which I again was like, I knew that was important. Why is it leaving that there? I couldn't remember, but I guess it was important to find the tomb, right? So it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, that's what I took up from it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, see, this is my thing, is that like there was so much, we got to get to this, and that's that was the thing. Like, you're not really properly explaining stuff here because you're trying to just fill it in enough so that we can get to the next point, because we had to get to he had to then get to the next tomb where the other avatars would be. And so it's just like, I understand why you're doing, well, no, I understand from you're trying to piece this together perspective, but as a viewer, I'm just like, this is like, we're picking up with Mark, he's dead. And by the end of this, I know he has to be alive to do what he needs to do. So it's like, even that in itself, it's like, that's the reason why so much of these decisions just weren't making sense. You couldn't do anything really with it. And so that's like one of my main qualms with it. It's because like even something as small as that, oh, he left the scarab, but it's like, but we done watched them fight over the scarab for 4 out of the 6 episodes, and now it's like, let's leave it here.
It's like, throw it in the garbage. We're done with this. Like, yeah. And I found myself thinking, like, when that happened, I was like, ooh, is this going to be a Layla episode? And then I was like, oh, wait, this can't be a Layla episode. This is the final episode. We need Mark to come back to life. Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Then Harrow's kind of just like, all right, let's go. Layla, sneaks into his caravan. These guards stop them on the road. And Harrow... So what did him putting that thing on his chain actually do to it, other than give it like a weird dragon mouth?
So basically, instead of like, from what I picked up, again, is because so much was going on, is that now instead of like, in the beginning when he would take his cane and like put it in someone's hands and like individually figure out if like where their scales landed and things like that, now it seems he can just taps it, now it's been given, I guess you could say, more power, and he can figure that out in one space for multiple people at a time. Hence, 90% of the guards evaporating or whatever, and only one being left. So that's what I picked up on, is that he's now been given this power to do what he basically was doing before, but on a much larger scale.
Okay.
And that being what what's that lady name? Crazy crocodile lady.
Amit.
There we go. Basically, that's what she wants to do on an even bigger scale than him. But I'm still confused about her power in a sense. I'm confused about a lot of stuff. Not to skip ahead, but like another thing that I have a problem with is you're telling me that he goes up against like 4 other avatars, right? They all come to the place. And I'm like, you're telling me that one avatar, being Khonshu's avatar, Moon Knight, can take him down, and that Taweret, when she ends up giving her powers to Layla, together now they're whipping his ass. But when 4 avatars get together, they couldn't do shit. They were gone in 2 minutes.
Right.
You didn't even see the scene.
I was like, what are the powers here? Like,
that's what I'm saying. I was very excited about this. I'm like, what is going on? You're telling me that they're that useless? Like, you had enough power to bind Khonshu, but you can't do shit right now here. You can't even buy Layla some time. Damn.
Okay, right? Because that kind of pissed me off. I was like, oh, that's it. That's all.
And
we're
then
doing?
my thing is,
like,
they didn't even show it. That's my big issue with this. And we're gonna get to the part that they didn't show that really, really has me pissed off. And I tweeted about it too. And it's the main person I've been talking about this entire time I've been on this podcast, and we've been talking about this. But like, that's my thing with this. I don't even want to go. I don't want to be redundant with the whole timing, but it's like you kept certain things out for the sake of time, and it was the stuff that I wanted to see. That's what got me kind of pissed off right now. But anyways,
yeah, not great. But okay, so I guess they explained the chain. Okay, he like kills all the guards except for one who is like the quote unquote good one. And I did like the scene of Layla jumping out of the back and Tarouette talking through like the dead guards.
mm-hmm.
I did like that. Like I was like, okay, this shit is up my alley. It's like kind of wacky. It's like fun adventure, even though it's dead bodies. It's like fun adventure action movie stuff. And I really liked Tarouette as like I liked how her voice was. I liked that her voice was just like this like chill lady. And not like, because all the rest of them, like even Ahmet had more of a like imposing like God voice, and Khonshu's sounds like Optimus Prime, but hers just sounds like, a friend you might have.
Yeah.
And I like that voice coming out of like these like dead guards. Yeah, and then so they're going to the tomb of the gods, which that is isn't that like an actual like it's like one of the actual famous pyramids, or no, is it a nondescript pyramid?
Be honest with you, I don't know.
I'm like, oh, okay.
I have no idea.
I probably knew in 6th grade when I was obsessed with Egypt, but I did not retain that information.
Fair. Yeah, I liked this shit. I even liked when Tarouette even says like, "Oh, be my avatar." We would have fun together. I was like, "Oh, yes, do that." And I was glad that later she does. But yeah, okay. So they arrive at the tomb of the gods, and I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be a cool fight." Like watching all like the avatars, because like, shouldn't they all have powers, right?
Well, there was a throwaway line, since I literally just watched it, where Harrow tells them, don't do this. You're not fighters. And then I guess on one hand, that could just be a throwaway line. On the other hand, what Khonshu does and what Amit does, they're very similar. So I could see them being able to fight, and maybe the other ones not so much.
But I guess my thing, what confused me there was Tarouette isn't really much of a fighter either. That's not her, purpose.
Exactly, yeah.
And she was at least able to give Layla, something, like,
yeah,
like, and she was, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was a little thrown off by it. I really didn't want to question it, too much. Cause I'm like, look, I'm gonna be honest. It's really cool. And she looks great, but I am confused as to how she got wings from, a god who's supposed to be about fertility and is supposed to have like lion paws and the alligator mouth. Like nothing about this has wings, but I wasn't questioning it too much because I was like, she looks cool, so we're just gonna let it slide. But I'm like, damn, if she was able to get that from the goddess of fertility, you telling me that the other ones didn't? You can't give him nothing? Like, I don't know. Can they have like wind power or some shit? Anything at this point would be great. Any help whatsoever.
It felt like they tried to like play those gods as more of pacifists in all of this, but they didn't really come across. So it was kind of like awkward when they were, like trying to bind Ahmet, and they were like, "No, we just have to come together and do this," and they don't want to like use force. So maybe that had something to do with it, but it didn't come across clearly to me.
Yeah, because they're like the ones that don't want to interfere with anything else. But yeah. Also, I think the issue with Layla and the wings is that, I mean, we know that they're trying to sort of base her off of an actual character.
Yeah.
So I guess from looking at that original character, the Scarlet Scarab, that's where that came from. But it doesn't quite work when you think about who the goddess is.
Right.
Yeah. What is wings? Like, okay.
I mean, I will say, other than Khonshu being the moon god and having that little like moon thingy in Moon Knight's chest, he doesn't really have moon-based powers. It's not like it's like based on the moon or anything. So maybe it's just at the discretion of whatever the hell they want to give them.
Also a good point. Could be that. Yeah, so where the hell are we in the episode, Ashley? I feel like the four of us are like,
he came in with this in the span of 3 minutes. He's killed the gods, and he has to do the whole thing to release Miss Lady. And so, I'm sorry, I cannot remember her name doing this whole thing. yeah, so she comes out, does her whole speech. We done heard this whole thing about people need to be absolutely good and will never do anything awful, but apparently she's willing to make an exception for Haro. Um, and then they team up. He becomes, I guess, her official avatar.
Right.
And
And he gets
while this is
powers.
happening, Layla is in the background. Um, she Does she talk to the god before
She gets the like, I don't, the avatar that seemed to be like the main avatar, but I don't remember what god he was the avatar
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I don't remember them people. And clearly, we don't need to since they can be dead in 3 minutes. So,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
um, but yeah, she finds Khonshu. She releases him, and he first asks her to be the new avatar, and she's like, no.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, good for her.
I did like that. I liked seeing her be like, fuck you, like to
Yeah.
him, basically.
Um, and I was curious as to how the whole, well, he's dead. How are we gonna do this? Because Mark needs to get the powers back. It has to be him, type of thing. But then we get the whole one-on-one between Khonshu and Miss Girl.
Conchu and this girl. So a thing. I know that that's like supposed to be what Amet like vaguely looks like, right? She does look like a reptile crocodile thing. I just needed them to like, I don't know. It's like Khonshu looked scary and Amet, like she looked cool, but it just looked like a little bit ridiculous.
A Muppet, kind of just, yeah.
And like Tarouette, it worked, right? She was silly. She had the like easygoing personality. So it's like, yeah, okay. She's a hippo, but she's like chill and just like a nice lady. But for like a god who's taking themselves super seriously, I felt like, yeah, the Muppet look didn't quite work for me as her being like this imposing villain. Neil, what do you think?
I have some very complicated feelings about Moon Knight, like in general. Like once we get through this episode, we'll talk about it, but I don't know, man. I had so much fun with how silly it was. Every time something looked so absurd on screen, I was like, great, I like this even more now. So like even like Ahmet coming to life on screen like that, I was like, cool. And then the second they turned into fucking Power Rangers monsters that were like twice the size of the pyramids, and like there was like a fight going on down below, like I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but I was just like, this is just so ridiculous. I'm in. I'm in. And maybe that's just me being the stoner I am that's like, yeah, this is dope. I love this. But I don't know. I have notoriously bad taste.
Neil, I feel like our tastes are usually aligned, but then you like 85 more things.
I'm cool with whatever as long as I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying it.
That's totally fair. So then we get Mark. So like I did like that Tarouette is like, you're at peace. Like just enjoy your peace. Just relax. And he's like, that's not my style. I gotta go. I was a little confused. Like I thought this was a nice moment, and I do like the next moment as well. But I was a little confused how he got to Steven. Like it felt like he like was in the next room, and he was just like, well, let me go find Steven real quick. And that I was like, wait, how did he get here?
She sort of implied that it had to do with his mindset, like he was projecting that field of reason when he said, no, I need to go back and get Steven. It went away.
That makes sense. See, Justin, that's why you're here.
I just watched the episode 5.
But I did like. I liked the moment we had here. It wasn't quite as like heartfelt as the previous episode, which was like very emotional. Ashley, did you all talk about? I haven't gotten a chance. I didn't get a chance to listen to it. Actually, did you all talk about that? I probably cried because I definitely cried.
Oh yeah, it was very emotional. First of all, how dare you not listening to us? That's one. And then, but two, yeah, no, it was. I think, and that was another thing is just that you go from such an emotional episode, which even though I prefer the episodes with a lot more action, it definitely was well done in terms of these memories and all this stuff that we this background that we arguably should have been filled in on at least a little bit earlier in the show. But anyways, it to go from, such an emotional episode straight into like, all right, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. Somehow we have to get from Phil to Reeds to where Steven is to make him alive again to flying over to wherever Harrow is. But we did go over, just that. I mean, I'll bring him up now. I really thought that would have been a better episode to introduce Jake Lockley, like in terms of these memories as we're going through them, and the memories that Jake specifically had or would have, between Steven or Mark not recognizing where these memories are. And then it's also like they passed that sarcophagus or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and it was rumbling. I just felt like, and then also there was no explanation as to like, okay, Steven is, but Mark is in the field of reeds. Steven is wherever he was that turned him into stone. Where would Jake be at this point? And if if he's not going through the light or whatever to be alive again, is he alive? I mean, we know he is, but like that wasn't really explained as to how that happens. I think there's a bigger conversation to be had about like this being something about all they're all part of him or something like that. But that wasn't that topic wasn't really dealt with in any way. It was just
Right.
And here's Jake. It was like, okay, great. It's great to see you for 5 minutes. It was wonderful.
I did find myself thinking, like, once we got to that scene, I was like, oh, I guess they're not going to include Jake. I guess I'm misreading this because it won't make sense if they include Jake now, because where was he during all this? But then we included him. So that was a little bit, but I did like, even Steven saying like, you came back, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, and Mark being like, there was a whole speech. Like, I thought that shit was cute. Like, I was glad we're finally at the point where they are cool. They are working together. We're like ditching the bullshit animosity of like, no, I don't want you to take, like, we're working together here. And I was glad we finally got to that point. Like, that feels like that's the superhero moment that it felt like the show was leading towards, which I didn't quite understand. Like, I mean, we'll get to it when we get to the end, but instead of like, ooh, look, it's Daredevil. It's like, ooh, look, the boys are working together. They're finally just like, well, we are stuck with each other. So let's blow past this. Yeah. I did. I like that. I like my handsome boys working together. Khonshu and Ahmet, he like goes to fight Ahmet because Layla wouldn't work with him. And I to your point, Neil, I did like that, like ridiculous, like this is before they get giant, right? But like even this, I'm like, okay, this is what I needed. I needed people like smashing shit and like superpowers and like this is what I wanted, even though that this fight is quick. We see that Tarouette saves them as that like field, the like whatever sand wave is like coming to them. And I like Steven just yelling hippo. It was very cute. And she calls Osiris a softie because those are the dates of Osiris, right?
Hell if I know, I'm gonna be so honest with you at this point. I tapped out a bit. I tapped out.
Ashley.
I said on Twitter, I'm very bitter because I thought we were going to get Jake at least episode 3 or 4, and like I feel a bit cheated, and then also I'm upset because technically we do not have a season 2 in the works or anything, so it's just like,
right,
like at least I have my qualms with Loki, but it's like at least I know a season 2 is coming. It's like I know I'm seeing Wanda again. I know I'm seeing Hawkeye again. Right, what are we doing, here exactly? Like, and then also I'm very pissed that they didn't show us Jake's fight. Like that will be my number one thing. Yes, this is mostly about the fact that I didn't get what I wanted. I'm being very selfish here, but like
I understand.
you give us a Jake fight and we don't get to see it. Yeah, what was the point? You could have just waited till the after credit scene if that was what you was gonna do. I mean, I understand they're trying to hone in like Jake's fighting style is a little. It is what it is. But like, come on, you gave him. What do you want me to do here? I mean, like, thank you. I don't know. No, thank you. I don't know what you want me to do here. I have questions, Kevin. I have questions.
Ashley, I love you saying thank you. They'll be like, no, I don't even mean thank you.
It's like I have some qualms, and mind you, I did enjoy like the entire series. I think
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac's. Well, I did enjoy Oscar Isaac's performance, though there
Oh,
have
yeah.
been some valid critiques in terms of representation and things like that. But it's just like you hinted at so much stuff, and then but you did not have the time to do it. And I guess and I don't want to say that they should never do 6 episodes, because I think with characters we're familiar with, it could work better. But when you're doing a new character like this,
Yeah.
you should not have done 6 episodes. It truly was not. It wasn't fair.
Neil, a rebuttal at all?
No, it felt like 6 episodes they were trying to get there so like they could, I don't know, have a season 2 that was like more fleshed out with all 3 of them. Like I would have preferred it if we started season 1 and Steven and Mark were just cool with each other. Like that would have
Yeah.
felt like a better starting point
Yeah.
than them having to discover each other. It's like you were saying, Ian, it's like I don't want this origin story anymore. I want to be able to just like drop in and be like, oh hey, this is what you're up to, this is what the heroes are doing.
Yeah.
Cool, let's pick up with like whatever drama's going on in their lives. So, and it honestly, the season felt like just a setup to get him into a future Avengers or some other movie, just to be able to
Whatever,
explain his presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, yeah. So whatever. Khonshu immediately senses him, right? And disappears and then goes to see Moon Knight. And this I really liked too. I liked, when we get this throughout the rest of the episode, right? It's going between Steven and Mark's Moon Knights. Like I did really like that.
I loved it.
And I like that Steven was the one that's like, we're going to make a deal here. And like Steven got a little bit more confident too, right?
Mhm.
And I even like Khonshu being like, you want to have a deal now? And he's like, yes. And he has like a seat and is like, we are going to talk this out. Because also that would be me. I'd be like, yes, right now we're talking about this. So then we cut to Layla. This is when she is like, talk to the guy, blah, blah, blah. He dies very quickly. Then Tarouette, like she calls to her and she like gives Layla away because she screams her voice because she's so excited. But I love that it's like, she's like, oh, girlies, we're about to have so much fun. Like Tarouette is excited. Justin, what'd you feel about Layla's reveal?
First off, let's rewind a minute.
Okay.
Because you have, Mark out there talking to Khonshu, and I kept waiting for him to be more panicked about Layla, because I don't think he knows what happened to her after he died yet.
Right.
But they're having this whole conversation. I was on here the episode before last, and I was complaining about that too. I hate that. There's something urgent. You care a lot about her. You're married to her. Ask about her. Just don't appear later on like, oh, I knew you would be all right. Because you didn't know.
That would be very easy, Justin. You're right. For him to just say, oh, is Layla okay? Yes, she's here. Okay. Then the scene can move.
I hate that. And as for her, we talked about how much we love her, Layla, that character and that actress. And I was just happy they gave her something to do, something substantial where she could even appear without him.
Yeah.
Not that I want her to, because I love him. But yeah, I was pleased.
Yeah, I was too. And like, Neil, what'd you feel about the reveal, Neil?
Oh, again, anytime something great happens on screen, I just perk up. So like, I had the biggest dumb smile on my face when that happened, and I was like, cool, I'm glad we're doing something with Layla and not just having her be the wife who's just following him around constantly. And I like that they did play into her father's, I believe his name is similar to what the Silver Scarab was in the comic. I don't think it was an exact name replication, but it's cool that they kind of laid that in there so subtly, and then they paid it off in the finale. So I'm in. Bring her into whatever movie you want next. Put her on an A-Force movie, please.
Oh my god, I would love that. Well, we will get to the fact that I do have a big question about her, though, at the end, since she just isn't there. But we'll get there. So she, has this like superhero reveal and land and looks fucking awesome. Ashley, did you like the costume? I mean, you already talked about it, but right?
Yeah, I love the costume. Like when you can have me just like not questioning, okay, how did we? It's like, no worries, it's fine. It looks bad.
Yeah.
It looks badass. So by all means, we're just gonna act like this makes sense, and we're gonna keep it moving.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt about it. It was like, cool, great, she can fight now. Like, she already could fight, but it was like, if Harrow's got these superpowers, we need to give her superpowers, right? Then we see Moon Knight flying through the sky, right? I was like, was this something he can do? I don't know. Sure. I didn't know if that had to do with like, just Khonshu says like, I'm still the god of the sky, and like does something. Well, I don't know. But sure, fine.
The moonbeams helped him fly.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Fine.
Yeah, I would tell you, what you call it in the comics. He has like a helicopter. So I'm pretty sure that wasn't a power from the comics, but it seemed like something they decided to. I mean, they added in a lot of stuff in the show that's not in the comics, so we went with it.
Yeah. We're just gonna keep going with it. So then Moon Knight like attacks Harrow, and they have like a superhero fight in the sky. And then Khonshu attacks Amet. And I will say, to Neil's point of the Power Ranger monsters, I even wrote in my notes, this scene makes it look like they're a lot bigger than the pyramid. And I thought it was just like a weird like angle. And then I was like, oh no, they are giant. Like when did that? I don't understand like what.
It was when Amet was devouring the souls of the people who were being judged. That was when they were growing. And then I guess Khonshu was like, dope, I'm gonna get big too. And like then just like grew. So like, why did Amet need the souls and why did Khonshu not need the souls? Someone please explain. Actually, I don't care. It looked great. Continue.
I don't know, man. It was night, so he used moons to grow, and I don't know why he didn't think to do that when he was inside the tomb before Miss Amet came out. That would have been a really easy way to get rid of everybody. But
there were no moonbeams in the tomb, though.
Exactly. So
there you go.
That is what happened. That is how he got his back.
Feels like we're all drunk. So yeah, they grew bigger. Layla swoops in and she saves Moon Knight, which I loved, and I loved her like blasting Harrow across like the alley or wherever they were. And I loved. This was a superhero fight that I enjoyed. Like, I know how you feel about WandaVision, Justin, and I do understand your complaints with the finale. And the superhero fight in WandaVision felt a little like, all right. But this, it was like, ooh, we haven't gotten this yet, and this is working. Because it was more of like a fight, not just them throwing like globs of energy at each other. But I was curious, Justin, since I know how you feel about when they do like the Marvel finales. What did you think of the fight?
I thought the fight was excellent, or rather a notch above what I'm used to seeing, because I'm usually really let down. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is going to be great. And then they did the Jake Lockley cutaway, which was just so rage-inducing. Like, you almost had it. Almost was perfect. But yeah, and that made me upset. And yes, I'm still mad about WandaVision, and I always will be. Thank you.
I love you and I respect you. I do not.
Get Monica like that. Shot at her.
So... And I did think it was a nice, like, I don't know if it was like, I could see some people thinking it was heavy-handed, but I thought it was really precious when Layla is like saving that car and the little girl says, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And she says, "I am." I thought that was like a really nice beat. I don't know.
You know what else? Whenever she busts through the wall, since I watch TV with closed captions on, it says dramatic Middle Eastern music, and it cracked me.
Justin, I also watch with. In fact, I've gotten so used to watching with captions that when I go to the movies, I'm like, oh, I have to listen. Can't just read what they're saying. God.
No, but let's, side note, they really should add the captions to movie theaters. At least give us like a caption option, give us a caption option if we want to go in there. Like, look, I'm getting older. I don't understand half the stuff people say to me when they're in front of my face. So I need help.
Ashley, I feel like you saying you're getting older aged me and Justin like 10 more years.
Well.
So, God, where the fuck are we now? Oh, this is when Moon Knight watches Khonshu getting stabbed by Amet with his own like spear, which I did think, shouldn't the ground be rattling a lot with these giant gods fighting? But like, sure, fine, whatever. And And then the moment Justin talks about happens, which did piss me off. I was like, wait, what are we doing here? Then he blacks out and like everyone's like knocked out and or dead.
Them people were dead, child.
Well, I thought Harrow was dead, but then he wasn't. So I was like, oh.
I did too, but I think remember going back, he had the thing. He had it right at his head. Like if he hadn't blacked out again and Mark's personality come in, he was going to. But yeah, no, I did think for a short second until they started dragging his body to bind it. But I don't think anybody else was still there except for honestly the fact that Layla was able to still. I was like, but yeah,
and like because when I thought Harrow was dead, I was like, oh, are we done? Like, is that it? The like climax happened in a blackout?
I think, and also I think that's what left a bad taste in my mouth is just that, like, you know, for a second I was like, so this man killed him and we don't even see it? Like, you're just gonna, Jake came through and I was like, God damn. Like, you know, it's like certain fights I think should be, that would have been, I don't understand. I really don't understand the directional choice that was made there because like, why would you not use that as an opportunity to show us fighting style, to show us, you know, the what makes, you know, how he reacts in a situation like this? Because we were able to pick up on that in the first episode with Mark, when it was going from Steven to Mark. But we also knew we were going to actually learn more about Mark because it was episode 1. I'm truly at a loss for the decision. The only thing, honestly, I could think of is that Disney, being Disney, did not want that level of violence or something like that shown. And so decided to do it this way. And I don't think that was just a smart thing to do. But, and it also just seemed like a bit of a cop-out, you know, to see a superhero's back against the wall. You know, those moments where we see them get themselves out of it is usually like the best part of the whole thing. So, but that's the last time I'll speak of it.
Yeah.
I get it. I hate it, but I get it because I think it made the last scene more important, I guess, because that also opens up other possibilities, which I will talk about when we get there. So,
yeah. All right. I'll be curious. But yeah, I did feel like a little cheated that it's like the big fight with our main villain happens in like a blip. And it's like, come on, I wanted to see Arthur Harrow get like his ass handed to him.
Yes.
Like, right? So whatever. They got to take him to the god tomb or wherever. And they're going to fuse him with fuse Amet to his body. Because the dead guy had told Layla that like makes them more the weak and whatever. They do the thing, and then he doesn't want to kill him. And Khonshu, who I know is supposed to be portrayed as being incorrect, is like, the choice is vengeance. And I was like, no, but it fucking is. Like,
please, let's get into it.
Okay, Ashley, thank you. Agree with, because I was like, was everyone think I'm an asshole? But right.
No, this is my thing. I'm all for the whole, you know, you don't have to kill people thing. I get that. I do. But like, that's for like, hey, this person did bad things, but you know, like for example, Black Panther, when T'Challa gives Killmonger the option, you know, it's like you've done some awful shit, but like also I know that given what has happened to you, how you got here, I want to give you the option to, you know. So it's like moments like that where I'm like, all right, I get it. You know, I get why we would make this decision. Yeah. This is what separates T'Challa from the people before him who held the mantle. When someone's walking around with a cane and just deciding, let's just kill people for what they might do in 20 years, maybe we just kill them.
Right. Especially when they're fused with like the god that was like telling them to do this, who seems to be nothing but like pretty evil. It's like, what do we think they're going to do after this? Like, just like be chill and go home and smoke some weed? No, like
you want to put him you want to lock him away in a tomb or something like that? Like, this isn't somebody who, you know, I mean, for all intents and purposes, he's not in terms of powers is he on, you know, maybe Thanos' level, but in terms of his mindset,
yeah,
you know, it's very much like it's like, let's just, I mean, hell, at the rate he was going, it would have been way more than half the population. But it was very much like, let's. It was in the same vein of let's kill to kill.
Yeah.
You could hide it behind, well, somebody will do something wrong in 20 years, or you want to, but it's like somebody who's crazy enough to even start to make that make sense to themselves.
Right.
And
Yeah.
let's stop.
Yeah, I know we were supposed to frame it as like Khonshu is like unrelenting and whatever, but like it also felt like Mark would have like if it were Steven, it would have made a little bit more sense if it was like totally Steven in that moment and he's like, no, we can't. But it felt like Mark, who was like a freelance assassin or whatever the fuck he was, would have been like, no, we got to kill this dude. Like, come on. This is what my life has been leading up to since Khonshu took over. This person is evil.
Also, he killed you. Like, if nothing
Right,
else,
yeah,
he
he killed you.
Oh my gosh. Anyways.
And I feel like the whole thing we were showing was that Moon Knight he's not like other girls. He kills. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah, and it's also, I mean, shit, even the Avengers aren't necessarily above
right.
it. It's
yeah.
like, I like I said, I'm all for the whole we don't kill just to kill thing. If we
Right.
can, reform, we reform. If we this, we with that. I am all for that, truly. But this really, it wasn't like No Way Home, where we have Norman Osborn, who's like very clearly needs help.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's like he's done something reprehensible. No one is obviously forgiving that, but also, can we help him first? This is not someone in that same vein. This is someone who is simply like, I like doing bad shit. I'll make you like that doing bad shit too. Bet. Like, this is a completely different thing going on. So I was very much confused by them bringing that in. I felt like maybe it could have been a better messaging around, say, one of his followers.
Yeah.
Maybe someone who truly got led down the wrong path because of Harrow, but that was not the place to put that message. But also I'm confused by the fact that, like, when they do pin him and Mark and Steven are basically like, look, we did the thing, we binded him, release us. And Khonshu was like, sure. But then when he takes the powers away, they're back in the, I don't want to say asylum. I'm not entirely sure what it was. The therapist office where Harold was the therapist. And there's no explanation as to how or why they would have ended up back there.
Okay, yes. That was my biggest point of what the fuck. Because we already know that like, I don't like... We already know that that's not real. We knew that wasn't real the moment it was happening, right? We knew that wasn't going to be the thing. But then I was like, wait, is that supposed to be real? No, his feet are bleeding. No, look, Mark... And I don't know if you guys noticed, and I'm not sure if this is like him going back and forth and just like blipping an accent a little bit or like fudging it. But I thought Jake was one of the people that talks to him, because suddenly when it goes from Steven to Mark, there's like a weird New York accent that comes out at one point. And I was like, wait, is that just like Oscar Isaac like overdoing it, coming back from the Steven like British accent? Or is it like supposed to be Jake? But then Jake talks Spanish in the end, so I wasn't sure if what that was. Because there is a moment when he has like a weird New York accent that Mark does not have when he's talking to Harrow. But that felt very like, well, what are we doing? Because we already know this isn't real. And like, we're seeing that it's not real. And then he's like, I want to be a superhero. And then wakes up in his bed again. And like, truly someone, Neil, as a TV writer, explain to me what the fuck happened.
You mean him waking up in the bed and then just suddenly everything
we
being cool?
Yeah, where was Layla? Wait, were we back to it felt like we were back to the beginning.
This show, I've been thinking about this a lot. I think it would have benefited if Legion never existed, because we could have just started this damn show in that hospital, and we could have done like the fun, like, is he actually in a mental hospital? Is he in the real world? Like, blah, 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 like back and forth. And I think the fact that Legion existed already in this grander Marvel universe, I think kind of shot this show in the foot. So like, I think it was supposed to be one of those moments of like, oh man, did anything that happened, did it really just happen? Was it all in his head? Like, you were supposed to wonder like, okay, like what happens next? Like what reality are we in? Whereas this just kind of felt lazy. They're like, okay, now we're going to like have fun with it and be like, look where he is now. Isn't that silly?
Well, right. And then like, I don't understand how we went from like, whoop, they just defeated the bad guy to now he's in the institution in his mind, then in his bed, and like you said, it was like playing with did it happen? And I just found myself being like, okay, where's Layla? Like,
yeah. I think especially too, since we spend so much time in that previous episode jumping back and forth between the mental hospital and the boat, it was kind of like, oh, like this was supposed to be a continuation of that sort of discomfort you feel and you're questioning things. But at this point, it just kind of felt, you're like, this is, just tell me what's happening. Like, just clue me into the story. Like, you don't have to like play all these mind games with me and a desperate attempt to have like a cliffhanger. Just like tell me what's going on, because I feel like the post-credit scene did a good enough job of setting up, what's going to happen next.
Yeah. I think that's also what bothered me, is that the post-credit scene did set up like a, look, there's more to come, but like this end of like the actual episode did not. Justin, I'm curious. Can you explain it to me and Ashley?
Well, I want to go back a little bit to them deciding not to kill Harrow initially. Okay. I wanted them to kill him, but then I thought about it, and it was something that Ashley said. Technically, Arthur even points out that the reason why he is the way he is because Khonshu kind of screwed him up. And he even points out, he wanted to be free, but Khonshu wouldn't let him go. And then when he gets vengeance on him by, aligning with Ahmed, he even says, you're the reason why this is happening. So if Khonshu's going to say kill him, I'm okay with Mark saying, then I'd be like you. I don't want to do that.
That's fair. Okay. That's way more. That's a way more fair, like, way to look at it than Ashley and I are looking at it.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm still very much on the side of killing him, but you have made some points.
Yeah. Ashley's like, no, kill that motherfucker. He did a lot of shit. Like,
how many people did he kill in Cairo? Souls flying through the air. And also Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I think I was on the show for that. And I know we talked about how at the very beginning, Falcon was just killing people. Like he was throwing them out of planes and stuff. They didn't show you, but you knew they were not, there's not, they're dead. Bye.
You're right, Justin. I forgot how much we talked about that. It was like, those people are falling out of a helicopter and an airplane and blowing up. Like, they're all dead.
Okay, Disney, sure. But, with the asylum thing, I think they're just trying to set up that's sort of what his mind looks like, I guess.
Okay, that's fair.
Because
Tarouette does say that, doesn't she? Like, your mind creates a, like,
the space, and then also she says it again when he's in the field of reeds. Your mind is doing this, so
you're right.
I'll give, but then what threw me off was the post credit, because Harrow is really in. Are we supposed? Is it that Arthur is in?
Right, that's a little confusing.
Which, I mean, I'm all for Steven and Mark deciding the best thing to do because they don't want to kill him is, all right, we binded Miss Mamas to him. So let's now, we're going to put him in some place where, we don't have to worry about him. He can't get away. And, Jake Lockley obviously he would know like where he is. And then when Jake Lockley comes in with Khonshu, they go and get him and decide, no, we're going to end this way. I'm all for that, but they didn't show that. So it's like, I'm filling in the blanks because it was not technically told to me.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. But Justin, I do want to know, what did you think about the end, the fake out to the fake out of where we end with him in his bed?
I did not like the fake out from the asylum to the other asylum. I know why they did it. I just didn't like it because I hate that whole trope anyway.
Well, and like I felt like we got to a point where they were working together, so I didn't understand if. So in theory, they don't know about Jake, right? Like,
right.
They've never mentioned him. They even when like something bad happens, they're like, "Oh, did you do that?" And then they just keep on going. There's no like, "Well, we both said we didn't do it." No, there's no mystery there for them. Why is he still tying himself to the bed then?
I think at some point, because Mark and Steven are more aligned with each other now, more combined, that Jake's been coming out to play more. Mm-hmm. So something happened after he was with Layla, and then he's still chaining himself to the bed because of something related to that, I think. I thought it was weird, but yeah, there's no reason for Mark and Steven to do that. But they also kind of point out again at when that fight that we missed that, yeah, okay, now we definitely know there's somebody else here.
Okay, that's
So.
fair. I guess I would have liked to see Layla at the end because it was like, okay, but
Yeah,
did you leave her? That like that's the thing for me where I was just like, is he being transported? Like, but I guess you're right. Maybe it's just supposed to be like, you know what? No, I still don't know because he literally is still standing there when it like fades to him in the asylum and then he fades out in the bed. So I'm like, I guess what you said, Neil, just tell us what you're doing.
It's like a fake out is fun, but only if you set up the rules and explain it to me in great detail on the other side.
Or unless you're like a stupid, like a cheesy horror movie, then like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
And even then I still get mad at the end of Nightmare on Elm Street. But okay, and then we get the post-credit scene, which I actually, as I was watching it, I was like, is there one? I don't, and as I'm Googling it, I'm like, oh wait, if there wasn't one, it would tell me like skip to the Eternals or whatever. And it wasn't doing that. So I was like, okay, there's definitely a post-credit scene. And there was. It was fine. I liked it, I guess. I felt like if Khonshu always knew about Jake, which that makes sense that he would, it feels like he would have been less aggressive. Like he would have been like, all right, Mark, do whatever you want, sweetheart. Like, I still got you because I got Jake. Like he would be very like, whatever, okay. And just like, right?
Well, maybe it's because he already knew that Mark and Steven were the primary. Well, Mark especially is the primary host of their consciousness, so he wants Mark above all else because that means that he can basically have free reign.
True. Ashley?
I mean, I figured that like the fight scene that we saw, what episode would that have been?
Was
when
it 3?
Mark, like the first episode when Mark was more so the one that was running around. What was that? I guess that would have been maybe Cairo. I'm not entirely, but there's a scene where Mark blacks out and everyone ends up dead, and Mark goes, Steven, what did you do? They're going back and forth with each other because they think they're the only two alters. And I say that to say that whatever happened, Khonshu may have witnessed it, and maybe that's how he became aware of Jake. And just didn't tell Mark or Steven about it.
That makes, okay. I could buy that. You sold me on that theory, actually, Ashley. All right. Well, so then, yeah, Harrow gets shot. I actually did kind of like the idea that Harrow completely, like, if we're not going to kill him, then I liked the idea of like, okay, we can show this villain again. Because especially the shows usually love to like kill the villain. Although I guess maybe not. Now I'm thinking like, Agatha didn't die in WandaVision.
Yeah,
no one died in Loki.
And then Hawkeye even, I mean, it kind of looks like Punisher. Not Punisher, my dumbass.
Echo.
Oh yeah.
It kind of looks like she kills Kingpin, but I highly doubt that he's gone. So I mean, yeah, most of them kind of have this sort of like, let's find another way sort of ending. Except for Falcon and Winter Soldier, ironically. But she was socialist, so she had to go.
So she had to go. She had to go. She was too liberal, so she had to.
She was doing. Just said she's doing too much. Let's not give anybody too much. We don't want to give them no ideas.
Free healthcare. Well, now you gotta go.
Oh no, we gotta take it now. Shoot her.
Yeah, Sharon, get her. All right, so Neil, how do you feel about the series overall? Like, give me your thoughts overall.
My thoughts on the Moon Knight series is I look forward to seeing Oscar Isaac on my screen in future Marvel films.
That is fair. Justin?
Oscar Isaac elevated Moon Knight, a character I really didn't care for before this, into a character I only care for because Oscar is playing him.
Yeah.
So
That's fair. Ashley?
I know I ragged on it a lot. That's just because I was looking forward to something and I didn't get it, so I'm just mad. I'll probably be nicer about it in like a couple weeks, but I did thoroughly. It's still a sore spot. You know, we just watched it, so I didn't have no time to resonate with it and accept it yet. But I did overall enjoy the series. I mean, the season. I mean, we have to go back and forth because we really don't know what's going on. I am hoping that they continue this story. I think I would probably have enjoyed the season more knowing that, okay, this is definitely going to be continued. But this sort of feeling of something, what's in the air, like what are they going to do? Won't they do? Has me like, if I have to accept this as it is a full story for the time being, it does not feel complete. So that is my main issue with it. But for what we were given, I mean, Oscar Isaac is the number one. I mean, outside of the fact that the man is beautiful, is just that he did a really good job. And then, oh my gosh, I cannot remember the actress's name, but the actress who played Layla as well.
Yeah, she's really
did
good.
a phenomenal job, especially with some, a character that there's not. I mean, I know the character was based off of a character in the comics, but for all intents and purposes, she didn't have much from, source material to work with. So having to bring life to a character that, you can't really read too much up on or about.
Right. Yeah.
I think she did a really good job. And honestly, Ethan Hawke as well. I was really shocked to see him get active in the final scene because he was playing the, I need my cane to get around guy and started swinging. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I think I was trying to think of like, because with Hawkeye, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed it. And I feel like that show still barely is getting talked about. Like I saw, I think in the Marvel community that you have, Ashley, so someone was like, people were listing their favorite and like no one was putting Hawkeye on. I was like,
I was thinking the same thing. And I was like, really? I was like, let me shut up then. Okay. Yeah.
Right. I thought it landed
a good job, like in terms of making a cohesive story with the episodes that they were given. And I do think a big part of being able to do that is because we know who Hawkeye is. We don't have to waste too much time doing the explanations. It's like gets it right into it.
And this the same thing with Yelena. They could bring her in, and we don't need a full, like, long ass explanation. It's like, oh, this is a character we saw in a movie last year.
His ass, exactly.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I think I don't know where this would rank because I was thinking it would be third favorite, but then after the finale, I was like, I don't know about that. But I did enjoy it. Like, it wasn't bad. I just had some issue. I don't know, But now I'm like, God, do I say this about every fucking Marvel show we cover? Like, I'm always like, it's not that I hate it. It's just I have 8,000 issues with it. And then I'm like that nerd pushing up my glasses. And like, is it like, Ian, just enjoy the fucking thing? But also we have a podcast where we're talking about it. So like, I don't know. But I didn't dislike it.
It's okay to be critical of the things you like, Ian.
I know.
You can enjoy something and also critique it.
You can't do that because the internet is what it is, and they'll hurt us. So we have.
Oh, y'all still go on the internet? Good luck out there.
We're still making that mistake. When we leave the internet, we will know peace. We will just
don't let Neil fucking fool you, Ashley. He is extremely online.
No, I post my thirst traps and go, Ian. I don't engage anymore.
You post your 8 thirst traps a day. Ian lights all of them, and then you go. Well, Ashley and I won. We'll never forget the fucking comment someone left on our Eternals episode where it was like, have you two even watched Marvel? And it's like,
never.
Right,
I skip to all of Chris Evans parts, and then that's it.
Yeah. It's just the two of us. We thirst over him, and then we're done. We don't pay attention to anything else.
I don't know anything else.
All right. Well, this episode, what was your favorite scene, Justin?
I'm not even sure I like the episode after this episode. I've been thinking about it a lot, and now I'm like, I don't know. What was my favorite scene?
I mean, the show is great. It's just that, like, when you talk about the entire, cohesive. It's just, I think, unfortunately, we're a little bit harder on it because we're just meeting him for the first time.
Yeah.
For example, I loved Loki, but I definitely had, I would say, maybe the same amount of issues. But the reason why I didn't really get too hung up on those issues because I'm like, all right, between Kang being in Quantumania and maybe even a possible reference in Multiverse of Madness,
Yeah.
and then the fact that we know that there's a season 2, I'm not too hung up on my issues because I think there's some easy fixes here that can, I'll still say season 1 has its issues, but we can definitely fix it up to make it a better series. We're just out here hoping and praying that they don't leave us with, we shot, Harrow in the back of a limo and that's it. So I think that's really kind of the overall feeling about the series is just like, we're going off of the fact that this just may be it. I am hoping it's not, but if that's it, then I can't not say I have questions because it's like you gave us a lot of questions and didn't necessarily follow it up with answers.
Yeah.
I know what my favorite moment is. A dramatic Middle Eastern music busting through the wall with the wings. Like, yes, that was it. That's a pure moment right there.
All right. Ashley, what was your favorite scene from the episode, the finale?
Layla and Mark and Steven teaming up, like,
Yeah.
the entire fight, really. But not just the fact that we're seeing a fight, but like the way in which that they were working together.
Yes.
I really wish we could have, gotten even more of it. I'm hoping that Layla keeps her powers if this show continues. I know Layla was telling Tararet that it was going to be a temporary thing. But I mean, that would be awesome if she can keep those powers. I don't think Tararet would be against that. But like seeing the way in which like their fighting styles when, Mark goes into
Yes.
Steven and then Steven, the alter into Mark, and then, them partnering up. And especially whenever, even though Layla very much was able to defend herself if her back was up against the wall, like seeing both characters being very protective over her, both alters being protective over her. Just their whole fighting style was really great.
Yeah. Neil?
Power Ranger fight.
Fair. I think mine is same as yours, Ashley, because I loved Mark and Steven finally working together. And I, like you said, I like that they fought differently too. Like, I mean, unfortunately for Ashley, she is attached to this podcast where I'm forever referencing Buffy, a show she is not that familiar with. But
isn't it great though that like I've been on the show so much, and that the main reason why this podcast exists is because of a show
right.
that I've never seen.
You, Stephanie Williams and Brandon T. Snyder have all never seen Buffy, but have been on this podcast a lot, which I always think is funny. But so it reminded me, Justin and Neil, of how Faith and Buffy both, like, their fighting style, even back then in like season 3 in 1999, was still shown very differently. Like Faith was more like gonna punch on you, and Buffy was more like graceful. And I liked seeing that here, and I liked Layla being able to do the superhero fighting too, and I just liked seeing them tag team Harrow, honestly. What grade do we give the finale, Neil?
What's the point system here? Is it out of 10?
I usually we do A through F, but you can do whatever the hell you want.
I give it a solid B.
Okay. All right. Justin?
I'm going to give it an A minus.
Oh, Justin, I feel like you keep wavering.
Only because of the acting. That's been my main thing this entire time. This show would have flopped with anybody else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Ashley, what grade do you give the finale?
I am going to give it, I'm going back and forth between B and B plus. I will give it the plus just because, you know what? They got the casting down perfectly. And that's for right. That, that this is proof that even when something falls flat, if you got the right person there, people will, they're going to ignore it. So yeah, you get the plus because Oscar Isaac. So that for all the studios listening in, if you're not too sure about something, just cast Oscar Isaacs and there you go.
Fair. Yeah. I think I do a B. Yeah. Which I think is what I've given most of the episodes. Yeah. All right. I know the reason we're recording this on a Wednesday night, the day the episode came out, is because I didn't want to put this out on Friday, but by the time Multiverse of Madness had come out, because I felt like, boy, would this be pushed out of the conversation by then. So, Justin, what would be your dream cameo for Multiverse of Madness? I know there's a lot of cameos. Some of them have been spoiled. I did not watch the last trailer, as Ashley warned us in the group not to watch it. So I haven't watched it, but it doesn't have to be someone that's rumored. It could be whoever the fuck you would want.
I just really want them to start doing the Young Avengers and get rid of Child, Wiccan, and Speed and bring in the older ones.
Mm. You're like, get those kids out of here.
Yeah, age them up.
Neil?
I completely, Justin, that was going to be my answer too. Fuck them kids. Give me teenage Wiccan and Speed immediately. Somewhere in the multiverse. I don't care where.
All right, that's fair. Ashley?
I mean, he's not. I really doubt he would be in it. He's not going to be. But if I just had my choice and like could magically make it happen, I would definitely want a Magneto.
Oh, okay, okay. I for sure thought you were going to say Chris Evans.
My man is over it. He is like, I gave you my 30s. I'm done. And
he is what? Right. Yeah.
What can I say?
Good. Don't call me.
He's like, enough is enough.
There's been all this talk about the X-Men, and I've had a lot of excitement because I know, Justin, you and I kind of feel the same way about those movies. It's like nostalgia, but like they're not that good. Even the original ones are like, I look at them through rose-colored glasses, but they are not that great. They're great for the time. But I would love to see those original 4 X-Men get the justice they deserve by like being put in an actual superhero. Like for me, it'd be like Halle Berry, Famke Johnson, James Marsden, and Hugh Jackman. I do not want them being the MCU's X-Men by any means. Like I do not want that, but I want, because I know it's like multiverse, Illuminati, and blah, blah, blah. We can get like cameos. So I would want the 4 of them to get like a very cool, maybe like a 10-minute action scene, maybe 5, but like just to get to do something cool that like, the only movie that had like the bigger budget action was like Last Stand, and that movie fucking sucks. And there is Days of Future Past, but there's also 1,000 characters in that. And I do love that movie still, hands up. But yeah, I would just like to see the 4 of them get to be in like a cool Marvel movie, even if it's just for like a quick, cool action fight scene, because I would have faith that the MCU would at least give them better lines, and also like their powers would be cooler and be more like comic book looking. So yeah, that's because I think the 4 of them, Halle Berry and Famke Janssen like barely had anything to do. James Marsden dies off screen. Like, ugh. I think of that shit and get mad still, but that's what I would like. All right. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much for being willing to step up into the co-hosting shoes for Moon Knight here. I really appreciated it. And thank you for being the first co-host that had to co-host without me as well.
Awesome.
And
guys.
Justin and Neil, thank you for joining me for the finale. If you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can subscribe to us on Patreon. We're going through What If and Harley Quinn Season 2. And any support helps the podcast. Helps us keep going, and it's much appreciated. You can follow us on all social media at SlayerFestX98. You can follow me at IanXCarlos. Ashley, where can everyone find you?
Ashley K. Smalls on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can also join my group on Twitter called Marvel Fans Assemble. And I have a blog called brooklynblur.com that you can visit.
And Justin, where can everyone find you?
Justin at JustinCentric on Twitter. My website, Justin Possible. And that's it for now. Yeah.
I thought I was going to have to help you with your handle again. Neil, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at Neil_McNeil on Twitter, or just at Neil McNeil on Instagram.
Well, we will see you next week for Multiverse of Madness. Bye, everyone.